He's whiny.
Yeah, like he sounds like such a bitch. If you're gonna make an argument for reduction of greenhouse gases via cars, like it's really, really hard to ignore motorcycles.
No, that's not what I was. Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah, and the fact that the U.S. just like overlooks it is kind of funny, especially because the U.S. essentially has like unregulated motorcycle. Like,
yeah,
you have to get a license technically, but like, so you go and you get the license, and as soon as you have that license, you can buy the most insane turbo-powered motorcycle in the entire world, right? Like, you can go buy a machine that will break over 210 miles per hour straight off of the lot. Like, you can just do that.
Saying.
It's fucking insane. Whereas like in Europe, you need to go through like a series of like 6 gradually increasing licenses where you like prove that you can handle that big of a bike. They start you off on essentially like a moped, and they keep moving you up little by little by little.
Yeah, because they were doing by cylinder. They were like, oh, I can drive a 100cc or whatever the fuck it is. Not cylinder, by like cc's of the bike.
Yeah. They do it by cc's. There's like cubic centimeters of displacement classes for the engine sizes and stuff.
Yeah,
so they
and I
keep
was like
increasing it, and yeah.
But then it makes sense. Like, okay, they have like small alleys. They have cities that like are like kind of nook and cranny. So I get like why bikes are more common there. But we have like, again, you could just get a motorcycle. Everyone can get a fucking motorcycle, and they're so much cheaper than cars. And
the Honda Grom literally gets 160 something miles per gallon.
That's nuts.
It is a 125 cc meme bike that can do like 60 miles per hour. But like for people who are just going around in town, that's fucking fine.
Yeah, 60 miles an hour is all you need.
It looks ridiculous. And if you're dating a woman and she's not on board with goofy looking vehicles, she is going to probably stop having sex with you as much.
What is it called? Wait, what is
the Honda Grom? GROM. I think you're going to enjoy how this looks.
This motorcycle?
Yeah, I think you're going to like this.
Hey, you know what's funny? I actually like this.
Look up Honda Grom with rider.
I kind of like this. And I would ride it with sidecar.
No, with rider. Like just look
rider.
Because you need to see the scale, because you don't understand how small it is until you see someone on top of it.
Oh shit, it's so small.
Yup.
It looks like a fucking kid bike.
Right. It's literally a meme bike, dude.
Oh. No, I see children on it, which is a funny thing. It looks more normal. Oh, if you're a grown man, you can't drive this. It actually looks kind of cool though. I'm kind of mad that it is this tiny.
I know. This is the thing. It's actually a really fucking
you get no pussy.
I have been wanting. I know, and I showed this to my girlfriend, and she was like, "Please don't get this, man. Like, please don't do this." And I was like,
"Bro, I would get this so fast."
This is the most Lucas bike ever, though.
I mean, it's so pragmatic, though. It's like,
dude, look up the fucking miles per gallon. Like, it's literally like over 150.
Bro, listen. We can both start rocking these. We'll make this cool. We gotta. We're bringing raccoons back, and we're bringing back.
We can rip these.
134 miles per gallon. 134 miles per gallon.
Look for the Gen 3.
Oh, that's with a 229-pound rider.
So you can be like top 99.9th percentile fattest man and still get 120 miles per gallon or something.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, it says 229. So like, yeah. So basically, someone who's my height. So I'm 6 feet, a little bit 6 feet and a half inch if you want to be specific, and like 230. So then that makes me literally. I get 134 miles an hour.
What up? Look up third gen Honda Grom miles per gallon.
Third gen. Oh, this is 2020, actually. This is not even 2023. Yeah, it's an older one. The third generation. Oh, that's top speed. Listen, I think this is not the ugliest car. I mean, the ugliest bike.
Dude, I think they're kind of cool, man.
They can reach up to 6, so they go under 60 miles an hour. They go up to 59 in the 2022 version.
Well, it depends. I mean, you can fudge it
You
a
could
little bit.
probably,
If you play with the gear ratios and stuff like that, you can eke out like 60s. And if you're going downhill,
Oh
you've got a
yeah.
tailwind.
Okay, so the new one, it can go up to 155 miles per gallon
Isn't
on
that
it with a
fucking nuts?
200 pound rider.
155 miles per gallon. Like,
And then it says like he
so,
said
and
like, in practice
I
when
just
he was
want to,
using it, like throttled out all day, he got like 103. So between 103
and
and
that's,
he's over
yeah, like
200 pounds.
worst case scenario is 103 miles. And this,
That's ridiculous.
is this not insane, right? We have like
That's
all
so
these, we have all
pragmatic.
these like Greta Thunberg types out here talking about how, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z to save the environment. It's like,
Just get a motorcycle.
if we forced everybody to get these goofy meme bikes,
I'd rather take a meme motorcycle over.
another thing, think about traffic, right? Think about this from a traffic perspective.
Mhm.
How much less of an issue does traffic become if each person on the road now takes up like 1/16 of the total like volume that they would
I
otherwise?
think it actually, for most cities, that would basically make it go away. Even if you got like 40%
This
of
is why
you
California
riders,
wound up allowing motorcycles to filter, because it just like
it helps so much.
it helps traffic so much. And even though it's like
It's
absurdly
so
dangerous
dangerous.
and kills everyone, like it's just so good for traffic.
Yeah,
So
you
a
got to
few
take
people can
the.
die.
Yeah, you got to take the utility on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. They're they half these people get like their heads cut off or whatever. They get split in half from trying to
My
like
favorite
fucking filter. But
thing with motorcycles is that there's a specific genre of like really, really self-confident tech woman who, anytime you talk about motorcycles, is going to say something like, "Oh, well, why don't you just get a car? Like, there's so much safer. You're so much less in danger, and it's just so much smarter to drive a car." And then you're like, okay, well, like what car do you drive? And they have like some like Porsche Cayman that has like a 3-star safety rating or something. That's
of
like
course, yeah.
effectively like if you get into like a similar crash, you're like basically dead either way. It's like
I didn't realize that Porsche car is a fucking tin can. There's
I totally made up that was going off
oh
of like a 2012 model or something like that.
oh the smart cars
Maybe they improved
are
their safety ratings a lot, but it's always like, I mean,
so my
none of
town
these sports cars are particularly safe ever, right?
actually
And it's not
before I docked
necessarily
my
that like so you can get a good crash safety rating in a sports car, but the thing that you have to consider is like crash safety ratings are done at a standardized speed. And
Mhm.
the reason that people buy fast cars is to go above that standardized speed. So it's like, it kind of, you're kind of canceling it out, right? You can make it safer, but there's nothing that you can do to live through a 120-mile-per-hour crash.
Yeah, basically it's GG's.
Yeah, like and it's the same thing with a motorcycle, right? Like you're just going to be vaporized instantly.
Mhm. So this is similar to, well, it's not nearly as cool, but it's the inverse of this, I guess. Where some of those smart cars that were popular for a while, those electric cars, I got like
Yeah, those
500.
weird little like those were like the shitty car equivalent of like the Grom, right? Like they just
Yes,
look so
exactly.
bad.
But the thing about that is that because of the way that they're so small and compact, they don't allow for like our cars, like the front will compress,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's crumple
This-
zones, right? So for
yeah, there's no
for those
crumple
of you,
zone.
dear listeners, who don't know what we're talking about here, the structure of every car has so in order to control how it's going to crash better and make sure that you can like account for all situations, they have designated parts of the car where they are engineered as a weak zone. So if it gets hit, those are going to be the parts that bend and crumple in so that it does it in a consistently replicable manner every time. So think of like an accordion, right? Where you have the creases and the pleats along the accordion itself, where those, like, you just know when you close the accordion, it's going to close along those creases and the pleats, because that's
Mhm.
the weak zones, and that's cars. So we know when we crash them, they are going to crumple along those zones. And I'm pretty sure that what Verse is going to say now is because the smart cars are so small, they don't have the nose and the body and the material to
Mhm.
actually crumple like that, and
Yeah.
they just kill you instantly.
Yeah, that's so that was always a thing. And like my town, I back where I like was in high school, was like one of the first countries like nationwide like deaths of smart car, and the person just got fucking like vaporized completely. Like got hit by like a fucking like Subaru, so like a not a suburban, and just like evaporated. Like they just are not built for a crash. So I was always like, these are kind of a cool idea, but unless they make it like every other car, I just don't. suggest getting in one of those ever. That is like worse than getting in a fucking like motorcycle, in my opinion.
Well, the thing with
Danger
motorcycles
wise.
is, you're not like strapped in, so you can kind of you can kind of fly free.
Yeah.
Which
Also, you
that
could
sound
like
like it
dump the
doesn't
bike.
necessarily sound like that would be what you would want to do in terms of like being super safe and whatnot. But sometimes actually it's better to not be trapped in between multiple sheets of metal that are getting folded in on themselves, right? Because that's
Yeah.
one of the big danger factors with cars when they crash is like, and this is why a lot of so a lot of cars, Subarus specifically, are known for this. They have the A-frame, which is like the frame going from like the door to that, that column that blocks your view on your
Yeah.
when you're in your
And like the
driver's side, the
blind
front
side.
left.
Oh, the front
Yeah,
left. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So like that thing, and this is like the thing that firefighters get pissed off at Subarus because they have such a fucking thick A-frame that when they're trying to cut people out of there, they need like special big daddy tools bigger than their usual bigger than their usual tin snips, right? So they have to
No
really go
shit.
into these fuckers.
So
And
all the libs driving Subarus, all the libs and the lesbians, you're fucking
the lesbians are
toast, bro.
trapped forever when your car catches on fire. I'm sorry, it's over. Which is going to happen
Yeah.
all the time because your head gasket's going to explode, and this is somehow. I'm hoping that our dear listeners don't understand enough about like mechanics, and they think that a head gasket blowing might somehow lead to a fire in your car, and it could under very unlikely circumstances. But
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I was trusting you.
the other thing is,
You're a resident
fix
mechanic
the head
expert.
gasket thing, but it's just a funny meme.
Listen. I have male interest, but cars was never my like deep autist male interest.
You don't know about the head gaskets, bro?
I don't know about the head gaskets. It's over for me.
It was the classic problem with the 4-cylinder boxer engine of the Subarus, right? They had the head gaskets that would just shit the bed and start pissing oil, and everything would just fall apart, man.
Oh shit!
Not what you want.
No, it doesn't sound good to me.
It wasn't usually like a really big issue, and it was something that like you can fix pretty easily yourself. But
I tried to fix my car a few times, and I had like a super car nerd roommate in college.
Dude,
and like
I had the phase. All my friends had the phase, and it was like cars are probably like one of the biggest time waste hobbies ever. And like I like them and I think they're cool, but like I will forever drive an Econo box. Maybe one day when I'm like really balling out, I'll just buy like a new luxury vehicle every year and then like trade it in before all the electronicals start like shitting the bed. But it's really just like astounding to me how because it's the amount of time and money and effort that you have to spend with like nice cars, unless you take
so much money.
Yeah,
even with when those rice rockets, when people got the fucking Honda Civic that they soup up, I'm like, you had to have put like $50,000 to $100,000 in this car. I'm like,
and they always make it look worse. Like nobody ever. I don't know, man. Maybe I uniquely have the most elegant taste of all men in existence. Certainly of all Honda Civic drivers, right? But it's never a situation where I'm looking at a modified Honda Civic and saying like, "Damn, you treated her right."
I like. They always do pick a really gaudy,
man.
They pick a super gaudy. I don't see nearly enough anime decals and glow lights underneath. I'm seeing a lot more fucking shitty spoilers and metallic body. You're just not doing the right tasteful cringe,
All I'm gonna say, man, is I have never fucking seen a riced out Mazda 3 sedan. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I have seen probably about 95% of the driver demographic of these is Asian women, and I think that might account a little bit for some of these statistics.
I almost bought a Mazda 3.
Mazda 3s. I mean, I'm not gonna shill Mazda 3s. Like I'm not like a Mazda 3 like dealership salesman or anything here, but like you should all go find your local Mazda 3 dealership salesman and say, "Sign me up, me up, Dad." Yeah, like
okay, so I was on the right track.
They're fucking good cars, man. Mazda 3.
It looks like a good car. I like the cars. I always like the Mazda. I almost wanted a Miata, but I was like, I'm gonna fucking die.
I have a Miata. I have an NA Miata, and it fucking. Yeah, I don't know. If you
I needed to be talking to you because I wanted the Miata.
If you get down here sometime, I think you would have a lot of fucking fun in the Miata. You're not going to fit in it though. It's a big squeeze for me, and I can deal with like really weird, inconvenient shit like that. But everybody else I've ever met who's like, even people who are smaller than me, they're like, I can't deal with this. But I uniquely am totally fine with this just like ridiculous meme. It's just so fun to drive, dude. Like it is. So like I assume you would get a stick shift Miata. Like if you get a Miata, you get an automatic Miata. It's literally you're so gay. Like that's
I was gonna get a automatic one, but I'll take the stick shift.
What?
I hate fucking. I mean, I can do
dude,
it. I just hate it.
Okay. With older cars,
well, there's no hills here.
Stick shift is simply always better, right? And I mean.
No, there's no hills here. There's hills.
Why do hills matter, dude? You'll figure out how to use your e-brake to start off of a hill in 2 minutes. I hate it.
No, it's not about the starting. It's not about the starting. It's about like if I was in like the Northeast and like I'm fucking dealing with the stick shift and there's traffic.
Oh, you just don't like downshifting?
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
You gotta be fucking texting. You gotta be texting all day.
Yes,
some sort of fucking chick, bro. You on Instagram? You running into shit because you can't downshift to fourth to go up the hill in your Mazda Miata, bro.
Well, yeah. So
Miatas actually they're not super great on the highway. I think mine spins at about like 4,800 to like 5,000 RPMs when it's just like doing like 65, 70.
Jesus.
So it's like, you know,
I mean, I know that they're tiny little fucking.
They got a little engine and they do like to be revved out, but it's not like. I mean, so the way that I got the thing was. I went down to Alabama with a friend, and it was like 2 days before Christmas. The friend wound up getting sick, stayed there, left their car, and we took their car down there, right? So now I am stranded in Alabama, and I've got to get back basically across the country in 2 days for Christmas, right? So I start looking for flights, I start looking for rental cars, and all this shit costs over $2,000 because it's Christmas, right? Everybody's already picked all of this stuff. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to lose $2,000 on this, I might as well get to keep it afterward, right? So I went and I poked around a little bit on Facebook and Craigslist, and I found some guy who had a fucking mint condition, like perfectly dealership maintained old man, completely unmodified, totally unrusted. I love an old man car. Yep. And I started talking to him, and he wound up basically giving it to me for like essentially nothing. Like it was like the 2000, and because he was just an old guy who was like, I want to give it to someone who's not going to fuck it up, man. I've been seeing pictures of what people do to these things, and I've loved this car, I've babied this car, but I don't get out anymore, and my wife's in the retirement home, and it's just I just don't have the time for the joyriding, but I really don't want to see it go to shit. And I was like, okay, I promise I will not dicker your Miata. And then
nice.
Yeah. So now I brought it back, and I have essentially in my region the only Mazda Miata with no rust at all. It's so I have like an actual like commodity car to the point where I have gotten offers for like.
What year is it?
It's a 94. It is the last
94.
So 94 for the Mazda Miata. This is the last year that.
Oh, it's this one. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. I like this one.
I have the black highest trim with the limited slip differential and the leather seats also.
I see why you wanted to joyride. This was a good Miata.
It's a fucking great. So anyway, the thing that I like about Miatas though is, and this is the same thing everyone else likes about Miatas. This isn't like my unique take on the situation, but they are the easiest car and the most fun car ever to drive. Like you can be going 20 miles per hour. It feels like you're going 50. It's such an easy car to drift and like kick the end out in a really controllable way, right? Like there's a lot of stuff. I want to say the MR2 is known for killing you. Because it goes from like you have complete traction and then all of a sudden you lose traction, right? Whereas the Miata has a very gradual curve of as you push it a little bit more, it gives out a little bit more. Like it's super linear, really easy, and people don't fuck themselves up trying to like track a Miata. Partially because it can't go fast enough that it's going to kill you, but also partially because it's super fucking controllable. But like you can take it out and it's rear wheel drive, so it can do like a bunch of weird donuts and shit. And like I took it out when I first got it. I was with my old girlfriend and I went to a parking lot, and it was a little bit snowy, I guess. There was a little bit of ice on the ground. And I just went around and I was just doing like figure eights and donuts and shit in this like Menards parking lot or something like that. And this guy comes out and he's like, hey, I don't think you're allowed to do that. And I was like, oh.
Oh, whoops.
And then he was like, could you not do that? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I went away, and that was the end
I
of
need to
our little
fucking
exploit. Yeah, but it was the
no,
most.
no. You got me hyped for them. I need a Miata. I was gonna get this or like the. How do you feel about the new Miatas though?
The new
This
Miatas
is
are good. The new
they are
Miatas are probably the best generation since the NAs in terms of fun.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I almost got this or like the Toyota Subaru ones, like the GR86 Toyota and the. There's one that's
yeah,
a Subaru.
you were
Like
looking at like the BRZ and shit, right?
yeah, all that whole like class of car.
Yeah,
I was looking at these.
those are also really good, but those are like I don't know. It's all weird because like the reason that I like the Miata is because it's so fucking fun at extremely low speeds. And I got this coming off of the R1, which is like the R1 again for my beloved listeners who don't know. It's a 1000cc sports bike that can do like a 0 to 100 in like 3 point something. It does. It's like a 2.5 second 0 to 60.
Jesus.
It's I don't know. Top speed is like 190-ish. Of the one that I had, it's just an absurdly fast bike, and it sucks ass actually if you're riding it slowly because like the thing with all these track bikes and the thing with sport bikes in general is that on a track you are typically going very quickly, right? Like you're not going to be spending tons of time in the low speed portion of the power band on a motorcycle. And unlike cars, where if you buy like a GT350R that's like a racing version of a car, it's still mostly going to be made for driving on the road because the creators of the car understand that like most people are not going to be taking this to the track, right? Like it is still going to be like
a car.
Yeah, like a road cruiser. So maybe they're going to have like a little bit stiffer suspension than usual, and it's not going to be as comfortable at the expense of like slightly better handling under like tight shit. But it's like it's still very much so like this car is supposed to be on the road with other cars. And with sports bikes, that is not at all the case. They went full autist mode, and these things are genuinely tuned to be like best on a track. And so one of the weird things with this is like I could go up to like 95 miles per hour in first gear.
That's so ridiculous.
Right.
That's so ridiculous.
So it revved up to like 16 or 17-ish thousand, and the engine sucked ass until you got to like 9,000. And 9,000 RPMs in first gear was something like 60 or 70 miles per hour. So like you were never using the fun part of the motor if you were just driving it around town ever.
That's so interesting.
Because like the torque that it made below like 8,000 RPMs was just really, really, really low. So essentially, it's great on the track when you're always hitting the power band, but if you're just doing stop and go traffic or even on the highway, it was just like, this shit sucks ass, man. And it got so hot because of that. Because like the other thing, race bikes, they're always going like the average is like 120 miles per hour. So you're
it's already cooling on its own.
Right. You're expecting that there's going to be like a really high air throughput. So the motors typically give off a lot of radiant heat. I literally like, there were times where I was sitting there in traffic and I got like blisters on the inside of my knees just because because the engine was so freaking hot, man. So that R1 straight up like it was really impressive. Like you ride the bike, and I mean the first time I rode it, I was like, I have to buy this thing because it's such an impressive piece of like bikes are just weird because you get the sense of like, holy shit, this is like supercar level fast and like well engineered, but you get it for like $5,000. Like
so cheap too.
Yeah, like you can buy a motorcycle that is going to outperform a car that costs like 20 times as much easily.
And they're like, oh yeah, we can't charge you that much because you're probably gonna die. So we gotta give you like a deal on this.
So I test rode it and I was like, I have to fucking buy. This is just insane. And I took it back, and after a few months, I realized this shit sucks. It's really cool. It's really cool if you get it out onto like a track. It's moderately okay, I guess, in a straight line, just going really fast. But like that gets really boring after like 2 days, right? Just how fast can I go in a straight line? Because like the whole fun thing with motorcycles is the cornering G's, right? So you're when you turn in and you get to feel the whole thing sticking to the ground and feel yourself trying to get pulled out and stuff like that. That's fun. That's the fun part of motorcycles. And so you have, yeah. So with cars, though, fuck, where was I even going with the comparison? Oh, yeah. So it's basically equivalent to like this really, really nice car in terms of feeling. But once I realized it sucked, I listed it, and some guy came down and he's like, "So why are you getting rid of this thing?" And I was like, because it's a piece of shit, dude. This thing fucking sucks. You're gonna ride it. You're gonna ride this thing, and you're gonna say, "Oh my god, I need to buy this. This is so awesome." But like in 3 months, you're either going to have crashed the piss out of it, or you're gonna be thinking, "Wow, this thing is a piece of shit, man." And he's like,
Well,
why do you think that? And I said all the stuff that I just said to you about like the power band. It overheats. It's just not made to be like a fun.
You're a great salesman.
yeah, I know. I was literally like trying to like FUD him out of buying the thing, and he winds up taking. And this is exactly why I did it, because I knew it wouldn't matter. He goes out. He goes out for the test ride. He comes back and he goes, I'm willing to give you asking price right now, sir. Like, because they're just such impressive machines. It's not even something that like the average guy who hasn't ridden a sports bike before isn't even going to fucking try and negotiate with you. He's going to be so floored. Like you can see the glimmer in their eyes saying, I will not leave without this fucking magnificent bike.
That's so funny. Yeah, well, then they get wrecked. That's how. I mean, I wish I got like into motorcycles. Well, no, I don't, because I'd be dead. But because I'm not the kind of person who needs that just like that access to life. You know, that risky of a behavior. But I've always liked, like speed, and dirt bikes are fun too. But I don't need
so fun. Dirt bikes
is hard to like really, really hurt yourself on a dirt bike. I mean,
well,
you can break stuff. Yeah, that's fair. You can break stuff pretty easily.
I know a lot of guys who have effectively gotten like skiing tier knee injuries, right? Because you go off the jumps, and if you don't land right off of those jumps, man, you are very fucked. Your knees are, there's your ACL, your MCL, your PCL, your whatever else CL, like it's all fucking gone.
Okay, but you're not gonna explode. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
No. But I would probably rather be vaporized than have like full blown knee blowouts on both legs, actually, because that shit really sucks. I haven't experienced it, but like I'm using my brain right now to think about what it would be like to have two legs that don't work, and it makes me want to, I would rather be vaporized.
I mean, you can get but like do they get to the point where they like can't walk anymore, or just like they can't walk for like a year?
I mean, well, are you familiar with like how they do ACL restoration surgery?
No. I mean, kind of, but not really.
So in most cases, they cut out either one of your hamstrings or part of your hamstring, right?
Okay.
And some of it grows back, maybe in theory, I guess. But you're always going to be weaker for it. And you can like strengthen to try and make up for it. But in reality, it is the same with all tendon and ligament injuries. You're always going to be weaker. And this is, so like if you injure a tendon or ligament, like you tear it and then it tries to heal back together, your collagen is not going to form. Tendons are a very specific alignment of collagen fibers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what allows them to be like directionally strong, right?
Yeah.
They're specifically, it's like plastics, right? Where, if you chain the polymers right, then you can make them strong in one direction that it needs to be strong in, while maybe not being so strong in another way that it's not going to ever be stressed in, right? And this is tendons. Yeah. They're very min-maxed like this. And when they heal, your collagen that heals in and the scar tissue that comes in doesn't heal in the same pattern. So it does like heal it together technically, but the fibers aren't really aligned in the same way, and so it's still weaker. And you can kind of fix this with physical therapy, because as it's growing in, if you consistently stress the fibers, and this is why generally like human bodies are pretty good at healing if you just like follow your instincts of gradually loading it more and more and more as it starts feeling better. Because that loading is good for it, because it puts the stresses on it that tell the fibers how to like realign themselves and heal properly. But yeah, like if you do this and you cut shit out of your hamstrings and like it's going to be permanently weaker and you can try and do all the PT you want, but like, and that's just your ACL, right? So if you tear all of your other tendons, then you have to like, you're running out of hamstrings at some point is what I'm saying. Like there's only so much tissue that you have to restore all of this shit. And the hope is that you never have to do it all at the same time. But if you do have to do it all at the same time, then you wind up in these weird situations where like, so something that they use a lot of times is they will take tendon tissue from like a horse and they will purify it with like
I like this.
like a bunch of chemicals basically to make sure that it is not going to set off any sort of like it's not going to get rejected by your body's immune system.
Yeah.
And then they like implant that. Or
I'm kind of pro the horse implantation. I'm going to be honest with you.
I am very spooked about putting dead animals' tissue in my body.
It probably is not ideal, but I can also see it.
Absolutely not. That's one of those things that I'm like, this is courting Baphomet. Like you may well wind up like, this is essentially like the most grotesque form of.
You feel very Frankenstein's monster.
I would not be. I don't know. Maybe this all changes when I get like an organ failure or something like that. But like this whole thing of like organ transplants and like putting.
Well, the thing is, by the time we get, well, I don't know, based on your rate of injury, maybe not you, but
specifically, my prodigious rate of injury over this last month, man.
Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, by the time we both are at the age where we would need that kind of failure, they'll just grow it from our own skin cells. And
I hope so.
Fine.
My big hope is.
I mean, they already can do that now, so I imagine it'll be consumer level in 30 years. So
I cannot express to you how black pilled I am by having to have a golden crown on my tooth. Although I have to say also, now that I have the golden crown, it's extremely cool. It feels awesome. It's so like
which tooth is it on?
It's on my right rearmost bottom molar.
Oh, okay.
So it's like cool. Nobody will ever see it, right? So nobody will ever.
That's actually the same tooth that I have fucked.
Nobody will ever notice what a weird freak I am for this. Honestly, I don't even know if I needed to get it. The crack once he drilled off the enamel, it wasn't like it didn't even go through the enamel. So.
Oh, that's not. No, sorry. I forget. There's a tooth behind mine. So I thought we were twins. No, mine's the second most rear to the right bottom that I have a crown on.
You read my article, right?
Yeah, with the declining brain.
Yeah. Well, so where I was going is that the reason that I cracked this, again, for my dear viewers who haven't read the article, if you have read my Substack,
subscribe to this.
You should for real read that article because it was fun. But
there will be a link to that in the description and also at the end of this video. So
epic. Yeah.
I put that in there now.
Yeah, we gotta put the Substacks in and see,
Yeah, put it in the video though. So now that's why we can hopefully. I already noticed that we're getting more subscribers. Or at least I already started getting more subscribers since I did that.
On your Substack?
Yeah, well, the free ones. But yeah, like I noticed that like all of a sudden I started coming in after the video posted. I forgot that cool. I linked that our shit in there.
Yeah, we're building out like 8 different streams of Substack people posting here.
Mm-hmm.
But so I cracked it essentially because I bite super fucking hard. And now everybody has like a given force that they exert on their teeth, right? And the average, according to my dentist at least, is somewhere between 1 to 200 psi. He gave me a bite gauge, and mine came back like damn near like 1,000.
Oh, you're fucking mewing. And
yeah. So this is the dark side of mewing, boys. Right? You might wind up amping yourself up a little bit over the bounds of what your human limitations can handle here. But I mean, it's not. I don't want to say necessarily that this is all mewing, right? Is everybody has a different. Everyone has a different temporomandibular joint. So the leverage is, and this is the same for all muscles, right? Like everybody has different muscular leverages. And like if you know basically how a muscle works, I'm doing hand motions right now to try and show you what's going on, but obviously there's no camera, so it's totally useless. But the way that you lift your forearm is because you flex your bicep. And that bicep, like if you look at where your bicep tendon attaches to your arm and you look at where your joint actually pivots on the bone, there's a distance between those two. Some people have biceps that insert farther up their forearm, and that means that you have, if your bicep exerts a similar amount of force, you're going to have a bigger force at your hand just because of the way that levers work, right? And the same thing is true of every other joint in your body, but also of your jaw. So if you have a jaw muscle that inserts at a significantly mechanically advantageous point, despite the muscle being exactly as strong as somebody else's muscle, you could exert twice as much force if it inserted like twice as far away.
Oh, that's cool. So you got you got some nice
so I can bite the piss out of it. This also means I've been going around chewing everything for my whole life because I was like, wow, I can break shit. And I guess I just thought that everyone could, but it turns out that maybe it was me.
Clearly it was you the whole time. 1,000, that's like, like
they said the highest that they ever measured like 1260 or something like that. So I was still fucked up. Right?
I'm actually having this is pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
PSI. I did not expect humans to have stronger bite force than if you count as human in this case, than like Rottweilers and shit.
Well,
like
so
their bite force is like 300
dogs is
they have fangs.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a bit of a surface contact issue in a lot of cases, right? So it's kind of weird comparing like humans to other animals because the way that you're measuring like the force on your molars, you essentially have these big flat plates that touch together and you can measure easily. And on dogs, they usually don't, because like most of their teeth don't necessarily make like they make line contact. So the way that they measure bite force in dogs is different because they usually have them bite down on these big ass things that like approximate a big area. Yeah, I can't describe this super well, but if
but it's like there's just less surface area contact.
Imagine if you had to bite down on something, and like what it would have to be to measure a human's bite force versus what it would have to be to measure a dog's bite force, right? Like you're obviously going to get two totally different contraptions, and the human one, like you concentrate all of the force on basically your rear molars, and on dogs, it doesn't happen. It's
that makes sense. It's spread out. I get that. So they're probably inaccurate. I always did think the number was kind of low to say like 300, but also I don't know when you have.
Well, I also assume that there's going to be like weird outlier dogs, right? Like I can tell a noticeable difference between my cats in terms of like which one of them is like a better biter.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point actually, right? And also when you consider that dogs are like domesticated, like the more like retarded domesticated ones are going to bite weaker than the ones that are near feral. Yeah, and you have, I mean, the average human bite force, allegedly, according to my dentist, 1 to 200 psi. So it's still less. You got a 10x. That's how you know you were on that. You were fucking. You know what it really is? No, this is totally because of the math. Though. This has nothing to do with mewing. This is you fucking grinding your teeth. I do literally. I am a habitual tooth grinder. Yeah. This is a lifetime for a 10x improvement. This is a lifetime of like. I was wondering what it was too, because I know also that there's a thing with like weightlifting where like it literally does have like an all over like CNS improving effect. So if you like weightlift for a lot of time, even muscles that you've like literally never trained are going to experience like higher motor neuron recruitment than. Oh, really? Yeah. So this is why you can like the meme has always been, this was like the bodybuilding.com like 2012 meme was that you can squat and grow your biceps, and like it is true. It's not as true as anyone wants it to be, but it is true. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. As I started working out more, like I have more understanding of like muscle control, I guess, and like you can feel them. I don't know. You can just feel them more mindfully. It fires it all off better and more efficiently as you use it more. And I don't know. Like the bite force thing is really like. That's bad for me in my mind because I want to have my teeth, and if I'm finding that I am putting like 10 times the stress on my teeth as everyone else, it's like, you're going to lose your fucking gray matter. Hey, listen, I think about this myself all the time, especially because I keep chipping my teeth. And so I keep thinking like, losing tooth volume is the most like terrifying thing on earth to me, right? Like I would rather have somebody like take a hole punch and just punch a hole out of my cheek than have like a minor fracture to my tooth. Here's the thing though. I just can't, I have such a hard time with all the fucking, everyone wants to be fucking futurists, right? But we can't grow back skeletal tissue yet. I don't understand. Teeth specifically are a really hard thing to grow back too, because like you can go and you can implant the teeth seeds, I guess, what they would the little things that grow into your adult teeth, but like
in your body, it takes like 15 years before they actually grow into the adult tooth and like push out the kid tooth, right? And that's not like, they don't just wait for fun, right? Like the whole time that your kid teeth are in there, they're in there because they developed quickly and they're kind of like cheap replacements. And then your adult teeth come in and like those took a lot of fucking time and energy for your body to make. They're a very high investment part. And honestly, like I get into this a little bit in my article, especially I think after the paywall actually, but the material the teeth are made out of is fucking insane in terms of its resiliency. Like it has the ability, like just think about the level of stress the teeth are exposed to on like a really, really regular basis. Like chewing forces are not small, like 1 to 200 psi on any sort of like hard substance. Like if you were cycling, any solid objects that you have, like your watch, like jewelry, if you were doing this to like your belt buckle, like all of that shit would be dead in like 6 months if it were subjected to this. And your teeth are totally fucking fine. And they actually have, so the material, the hydroxyapatite, has the crystalline structure form of it has the ability to essentially fuse back nano cracks. So like if it cracks,
that's like the Roman architecture.
Yeah, so like along the grain lines, the pressures that can be induced by mastication are high enough that they can actually like fuse the crystalline structure and the cracks back together. Now, they only do this in one plane, obviously, because like, and this is why all the cracks that exist in teeth are running, they're running vertically, right?
Yeah.
You never see a tooth that has an existing crack that is going horizontally. Presumably because these heal themselves. And now this was making me wonder, okay, can you heal cracks in teeth that are going horizontally by putting side loading pressure on them, right? Like would that work in the same way that the top loading pressure heals the other cracks? I don't know, but somebody,
that doesn't sound right to me. I don't know if that sounds good. That doesn't sound good to me.
Somebody's got to try it, man.
I just had like the most vivid mental imagery and feeling of like my teeth being folded in half. I just do not. I don't like that. Well, that doesn't sound correct.
So what I'm imagining right now in my head as I'm saying this is somebody taking essentially a little metal strip, wrapping it around the tooth, and then tightening the two ends of the metal strip together.
This feels like maybe like braces feel. I don't know. Are there fewer?
Imagine, do you know when they used to give you the metal, amalgam? The amalgam fillings, the mercury silver ones?
The silver ones, yeah, I had those, yeah.
So do you remember when they put that, they had a little metal thing that they put around your tooth so that they could cement it all in and make sure that it wasn't spilling out over the sides of your teeth?
I don't think I had that.
You 100% had this.
I mean, I might have had. I just don't remember it. I was like really young.
I don't know. I don't know what it's called, but essentially, it's a. Think of it like an oil filter wrench that goes around your tooth. You're not going to know what an oil filter wrench, are you?
No, I actually do know what that is. Okay. I've seen that before.
So think about something like that goes around your tooth, and you ratchet it down, and you just keep ratcheting, right? Or even like a standard, like a strap that used to strap something to the bed of a truck.
Yeah.
And then you take a very small version of that, and you ratchet the teeth to provide pressure across it to give it a big hug that way.
But how would you do it enough times to, you know what I mean? Like, how would you do it enough times to see if you can fix the cracks along that plane?
Keep tightening and loosening it.
No, but are you just going to keep it like stuck on there all the time, and it's just always doing it?
No, I mean, I'm just wondering if you could do. So there are some cracks that are like big and bad, and you would want to get rid of. But like, I imagine if you heal them, they're good now, right?
Yeah. So actually, this makes me think maybe there is like a little like a little capsule, like not a capsule, like a washer type of thing you can put on your tooth. You just like caps onto it and just squeezes.
Yeah, I've been thinking about like what would be the way to try this.
So this is actually what happens.
I wanted to get somebody's teeth that have fallen out and just like experiment with them a bunch to see if you could make it work. And maybe this is totally like a huge lark and this would never work in a million years. There's like a 99.999% chance that nothing would happen at all if you tried this. And there's like a tiny little 0.001% of a chance that I'm a secret genius who's come up with a medical treatment that no dentist has ever thought of before. So,
hey, so I like those odds. That sounds good odds to me. This is crypto moonshot odds. I'll take those odds. I mean, hey, this is like how they figured out recently with the Roman architecture, how like cracks heal themselves over time, and it has to do with them putting, I think it was lime inside of their concrete mixture, and when the things that I think when it gets exposed to water after things rust away, it like fixes the cracks or something. I can't remember, but it's there's
a lot of stuff like amalgam. The silver fillings, they have sort of a self-healing ability too, in that if if something decays and maybe it separates from the tooth and there's space between the filling and the tooth now, the material will oxidize out and it will go out and fill out that gap.
That's what it is. It's oxidation. It wasn't water. I think the water is what makes it crack or something, like expanding and contracting or some shit. But the oxidation makes it expand and it self heals, which I think is a very cool concept. And then it does make me wonder why we don't use that as much in architecture now, or I guess we use it in dentistry. So
yeah, it's really funny when like ancient Roman guys had the ability to like make sidewalk that doesn't have cracks in it, and we're out here and I'm about to spend like $12,000 to replace my driveway because
that is actually really freaking stupid that we don't make.
Roads fucking suck, dude. Not like roads conceptually, but just like roads in America fucking blow. Like the level of upkeep and maintenance done, and like most people don't really give a shit, right? But if you ride motorcycles, you do give a shit about the quality of roads, right? It's a very unpleasant experience, and nobody likes, especially when things start thawing out after the winter. There's a bunch of like sand. Yeah. There's a bunch of sand that like accumulated in the and all of these cracks and stuff like that. And you take your bike out for a nice spin and like you just lose all of your traction and you think you're going to die.
That's, I feel like using a bike places where there's where weather actually exists is always like so sus to me, considering how little contact there is between you and the road on a motorcycle.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, even leaves in the fall. Like you can literally you can get one leaf under each wheel and it can totally send your shit. It's so absurd.
This is like the birds in the engine for Captain Sully.
Yeah.
It was literally two birds. Like the birds got into both engines at the same time, which is why it crashed. Because usually it happens only to one at a time. But he just took off into a flock of birds. So they all just fucking blew both engines. Well, yeah, so effectively you just need to get, but the possibility of driving over leaves in like New York, in like the Northeast is like a certainty.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't imagine anyone having a motorcycle in there. But of course they do.
You can kind of, so if you're going straight and you're like, if you're either going straight or cornering at a reasonable speed, it's not a huge issue. But if you're like, if you're on a highway and you're at one of those areas where it's like marking you to slow down to like 55 miles per hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of leaves on that thing, like you're going to be in for a weird time.
Well, I've basically never seen, this is literally Connecticut. This is like the Merritt Parkway, for shout out to my Connecticut people, I guess. If you've ever been on the Merritt, that's literally all it is. It's like windy, slow down to 55, and there's fucking leaves everywhere. It's very scenic, very pretty. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's like the highway that runs through the entire state. It's a great highway. We love it. There's never any cops on it. I've never seen anyone get a ticket on there ever. But I've also never seen motorcycles. That's probably why.
Motorcycles do like tickets. The only tickets that I've ever gotten for speeding have been on motorcycles, and they were within like 2 days of each other. Oh God, dude. I got hit for doing like, it was something like 80 and like a 25, and it was in a school zone, right? And
the dude in a school zone?
Yeah.
And, how are you not in prison?
And the dude marked it down and said I was only going 5 miles per hour over one, because I had never had any other tickets, and 2, because if you're on a motorcycle and they pull you over and you stop, they like you a lot, because most of the time, especially with sports bikes, they just run, because like
Oh yeah, you can't catch them.
cops have a no, yeah, right. The cops have a no pursuit rule, essentially, because like the bikes are so much faster than them that like the only way that they can catch up to them involve doing things that are going to make you crash the bike and possibly die.
Yeah.
So if you pull over, they're very willing to, be nice. So then I was doing something even dumber the next day. I was like, how quickly can I get home from like Walmart? And I was doing like 100 in like a 35. And I got pulled over by a guy for that one too. And because the first ticket wasn't like registered in their system, he's like, well, you've got no tickets, so I'll write you. And he did the exact same thing as the other guy did. And it was after this where I was like, I'm selling this bike, man. This thing, fuck this thing. It was it felt like you were going like 2 miles per hour when you were doing like 50. Like it was literally so fucking smooth.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean that's also that has to be the case with bikes, right? Because otherwise it would be like,
well, that's
terrifying.
Sports bikes. That's sports bikes, right? Like there's supermotos are really fun. Supermotos, I probably are the closest equivalent to like a Miata, I guess, but they're essentially like a dirt bike that has street wheels on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the massive suspension. You can go do a bunch of weird, wacky shit. You can just wheelie it all day. You can do a bunch of burnouts. You can go, just like stunt it, go off road. And it's not going to care if you're like hopping off of curves and stuff like that. But it has like a nice big like single cylinder race motor that you can just rev the piss out of. It's just really, really fucking light. So you wind up with this thing that's like 200 pounds lighter than your standard bike, but it has extremely cool suspension and
that's nice.
You're road legal. Yeah, they're really, really fun bikes, actually. Most people who ride motorcycles long enough and they started young enough wind up with supermotos just because they are sort of like the last fun thing.
Okay. It's like, it's like a little hybrid type of.
Yeah, you get bored of all of the other forms of motorcycling and then you come to the supermotos. But they take a lot of upkeep and maintenance. So it's another one of those things that it becomes its own hobby. Because you have to change the oil every like 400 miles on something that has an actual like race motor. Yeah.
No, disavow. I was watching Isle of Man, like the Isle of Man, this documentary. For those like time trial, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, isn't it epic how everyone just like is
fucking dies
6 inches away from being killed all the time when they're
just like, this is normal.
Yeah,
and it's like,
have you ever gone to like a rally
every year? People die like every year. It's not even like it's like rare. Yeah, I was like losing it. I was like, what the fuck? This is sick. I mean, also like it's sick in like it's sick that it's allowed.
It's so funny how it's allowed, and like if
it's in a town,
if they ever try and shut it down, like there will be the world's greatest pushback, right?
Yeah, it's so strange that like it's allowed. One, it's through a town, right? So they're driving through a fucking like actual town, and like I'm shocked that like cars don't like not the cars, the bikes don't go right through a fucking window one day. And also it's just like I don't know, it's just nuts. And like the people, the track is really difficult. Which is the other thing that people say, which is what makes it so exciting, I guess, because like apparently it's like just purely so complicated that it's
pretty tough.
It gets you like really like addicted to it, and going faster and faster is just like I don't know, it's wild.
Racing is cool. Racing is cool. There's a lot of shitting on racing that gets done by they're just going in circles over and over again. But
this one's not a circle per se.
Well, Isle of Man definitely not a circle. But I mean, even going in a circle over and over, like there's a lot of it's the same thing with tennis, right? Oh, you're just hitting a ball back and forth. Like there's a fairly infinite number of ways to accomplish this.
Yeah, no, even like I understand why NASCAR gets like shit on for its like I know I guess it's social signaling, right? But like, but I don't, but there's like also Indy. There's like the fucking box cars. There's the
rally shit's cool.
What's that shit in Milan?
Formula shit's really cool.
Yeah, Formula stuff is really sick. So yeah, so I don't know.
Basically, cool. Anytime you have you give a bunch of dudes a set of rules, right? Like you say, like, okay, max 12 cylinders. You have this displacement. You can use something that's this long, and then you have them say, go make the fastest fucking thing you can. Like you're gonna be in for a good time, right? Like it's not gonna be a boring thing to watch. The outcome of that, right?
That's our favorite pastime. Who's faster?
So the other thing though is like, if you're watching it on a TV, this is one of those things where it is very, very different than watching it in person, right? Going to a race in real life and you suddenly, like the scale of it is all fucked up on the TV, and you don't really have the gravity of how fucking powerful these things are. And it really just is one of those situations where like the man's desire to build shit just came and slapped its dick on the table and said, like, I did this for fun, right? Like, this is my fucking hobby, man.
No, honestly, I mean, if you ever even like, I realized it was pretty interesting when I was in like high school in like North Carolina. And I went to, they have a track there. I can't remember what it's called. It's for Speed Street. I don't know what the fuck name of the track is anymore. Coca-Cola something. And and like you could feel the fucking stadium from like half a mile away. Like you could feel like all the cars going around it. So it's like, I don't know. It's very impressive. It's just like the whole air, all the air is vibrating around it. It's sick.
I mean, it just shakes everything. Like there's literally like, I don't know. It's one of those things you can't really describe. It's in the same way that like if you haven't been around like a bunch of like really heavy industrial machinery that's doing like terrain leveling or something, you can't really appreciate like, wow, like we as a species really have like a huge fucking dick. Like we are so cool.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe girls just don't notice or care about that shit, but it's always been.
They just don't get it. These broads, bro, these fucking foids, they're just never going to get it.
I mean, most of them, I think, I have had a lot of success with showing girls weird industrial shit or just like overall, like this is some big iron that we got here, right? What do you think of our big iron here? Look at and like a lot of the terrain leveler shit is insane now too, because those machines go out there and the vast majority of them are GPS controlled, and those fuckers have the ability to like rip up an entire, like they can rip up an entire parking lot's worth of concrete, rip out all the rebar, like fucking like 14-inch concrete they can go through, and they are accurate to like less than a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter area by GPS.
It's crazy.
So you have these massive, like uber powerful machines that are essentially like precision GPS guided scalpels.
Fucking drone scalpels. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then just every piece of industrial equipment could essentially be used to like level an entire village, right? Like you could take the most basic piece of industrial equipment, and it's like, yeah, this is really good for like doing, like yard work, and like, oh, I have a loader. That's really cool. I can like go do like tree care and stuff, or I can like remodel my lawn. But like, you can do some serious damage. Like if someone was to go on a loader rampage, it's gonna be rough, right? Like, they're very slow, and you could escape them. But like if they box you in with the loader and some forks, man, it's fucking over.
It's so over. Yeah, no, we need more of appreciation. We need to bring back, everyone's fucking jerking off ChatGPT and all these fucking programmers. We need to go back to real man's hardware.
Yeah,
we need to get back to the heavy iron,
right?
We need that big dick heavy iron. Take us back. The revolution's happening on
industrial pile drivers, terrain levelers. You've got fucking pipeline drills. You've got trenchers. All of this shit, dude. The big ass trenchers that they were using down to put in the border wall. That shit was fucking cool. You've essentially got. Do you know what a trencher looks like? We should pop this one up on the video. Well,
let me write this down.
If anyone is watching,
I'll write this down. Let me write this down for the trenchers. Let's see if I remember. You guys can tell me if I'm a liar.
I'm googling a trencher here so we can see. Oh god, and of course the fucking tiniest little one comes up. But essentially, imagine a machine that has like a chainsaw blade that's like 24 feet long.
Jesus. Oh, I know that machine. That's sick.
Yeah, and it just goes through, and you can if you have to put in a bunch of like those weird gay slats that Trump did for his like his border wall that was just like. Do you remember the really shitty border wall he had that was basically just like a bunch of angle iron like pushed into the ground, and you could just come up and sawzall it all out?
No, I didn't see that.
It was a little bit of an industrial disaster, but anyway, the trenchers that made that shit and dug it all out are just so fucking cool, man.
That's what we need. We need more. Yeah, we're gonna fucking we're bringing back heavy iron for sure.
Yeah.
This is our revolution. We need. I remember when men we cared about fucking trucks, and now everyone cares about fucking autism.
I do.
And
I have to
trains.
say, I am a little bit. I've been increasingly software pilled over my life in terms of things that I give my attention to.
Listen,
But I'm always as a man going to have a soft spot in my heart for some guy taking a 1600 RPM 16-cylinder diesel engine and putting it into this big ass 25,000-pound machine that its one goal in life is to dig a really big trench. All day. It's gonna sit down and it's gonna dig a fucking big ass trench, man.
I'm digging the fuck out of that hole. This is also why that movie Armageddon hit so hard. Everyone thinks it had something to do with the fucking love scene. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's about them drilling a hole on an asteroid and putting a nuke in it. That's what sold the tickets.
Damn.
Seeing the fucking massive
that's kind of cool.
Oh no, it's a movie. It's a movie, Armageddon.
No, I'm saying I didn't know that there was a movie that existed like this.
Oh yeah. So the movie is like,
you got to remember, man. I don't have a TV. I don't watch movies.
So this is actually one of my favorite movies. It's a love story, but it's like sci-fi love story. And they basically just took oil drillers right off the Gulf, and they were like, we need to there's an asteroid going to hit the planet, and we need to break it in half and like make sure it doesn't hit us, right? So they got
they shipped a bunch of oil drillers to the asteroid, and
you watch them
funny.
Yeah, and you watch them like train and shit and like get space ready, but it's like some big fucking hurly like oil guys, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna drill a fucking hole in this asteroid. And I think it was a cool ass concept. Also, you get to have like life ending mortality on an asteroid because you're drilling and the fucking rocks shoot out everywhere. It shoots through your oxygen tank. Now you're dead.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
There's a lot of environmental detritus that's going on there. That seems a little dangerous.
Oh, wait a second! I just got attacked by. Oh, never mind.
You all good? You got attacked by a shark?
Wait, we no longer. What the fuck? My substack just got shut down.
Really?
Wait, we recently identified payments on your Stripe account that don't appear to have been authorized by the customer. How the fuck is that? How is that possible?
You're scamming them.
Oh, they want me to refund something maybe? How the fuck did I do something that I didn't do?
Probably some guy just asking for a refund.
Oh, is that what it is?
I assume. I mean, the alternative is that you've somehow like implanted within the Stripe payment processor like some sort of backdoor that's going to allow you to steal people's money from them. That doesn't seem very likely, right?
Like, I mean, that's
like how the fuck is somebody subscribing to your Substack without authorizing the payment, right? Like you don't have their credit card information. So I'm saying this has got to be one of those situations where the person is like trying to get their cash back.
Yeah, well, they have a few like blocked and canceled payments and shit, but then it's like, wait 1 second. Oh, what the fuck is going on here? Wait, let me pause this because this is concerning.
When he gets older, he won't sound like this anymore.